We're joined now in studio by legendary South African tennis player Rik De Voest, who's speaking to us ahead of the Davis Cup tie on a Friday at the Mahreen Country Club. Welcome to ANN7 and thank you for joining us here today. Definitely home ground advantage. That's your court, the Mahreen Country Club. What kind of memories have you had there?
Yeah, we moved to Mahreen when I was, I believe, 5 or 6 years old, and my first tennis experiences were on those courts. I have a photo of myself with a wooden racket back in the day with my dad, and we've lived there for I had spent 20 years of my youth there. I went to the primary school there, and have a lot of good close connections with the club. So to be able to come back and kind of showcase my tennis and my career at Mahreen Country Club, it's definitely special for me.
And talking about retirement after this clash, that must be this will make this tournament such an emotional ending.
Yeah, I've been playing and had a long career and played a lot of matches for South Africa over the course of their career, and this will be my 20th tie for South Africa, which makes me eligible for an ITF Davis Cup Commitment Award, and to have it here in South Africa is obviously special for me. And then my wife and I, we had our first son a month ago, and he was expected to be born a little bit later, kind of during this period. So he came a little bit early, which kind of opened up this opportunity for me to play here. And so kind of with everything falling into place, I just decided that this would be a good opportunity for me to come here to play my 20th tie and end my career on a high note, hopefully.
What would you say is your career high so far?
A bunch of things. As a kid growing up, you dream of, or most tennis players dream of playing at Wimbledon, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to realize that dream and play on the hallowed grass there in London, and so that was definitely a dream. And I also think one of the greatest honors for a sportsman is to be able to represent your country, and I've been able to do that over the course of a long career, and so those two highlights stick out for me over my career.
Take us back to the first game you ever played. Did you know that you were going to be a professional tennis player?
Well, as I said, as a kid, I grew up just watching tennis and loving it and enjoying it and being out there. And so, over the years, I got a little bit better, and then I started to be kind of, one of the top juniors in the country. And then it kind of started to dawn on me, maybe this is something that I want to do. And, I went out there and kind of enjoyed the experience. And it's a process. There's not kind of one exact area when you realize you're going to be a professional tennis player. But just over the course of the year of being exposed to tennis tournaments, both in South Africa and on TV, and then finally having the opportunity to go overseas and to be able to play like that, I value that and appreciate it.
Let's have a look at tennis in South Africa as a whole. Is there a future to become professional tennis players in the country, or do you have to be based overseas to be able to do that?
Well, yeah, I mean, at the moment a lot of us players are based overseas simply because in order to maintain a high world ranking, you need to compete on the world tour, and unfortunately we don't have that many tournaments in South Africa. I do know that recently they just announced that South Africa will be hosting 3 kind of entry-level tournaments for the younger guys. I believe they'll be held at Sun City over the end of May, June time, and I think that's a great stepping stone for the guys to kind of get their first world ranking points, gain exposure to international play. The second factor is, it's pretty expensive, especially with the South African rand, to travel overseas. The costs of traveling, having a coach, living, accommodation expenses, they all add up pretty quickly. So just having the opportunity to play in your backyard where you're comfortable, not having those high expenses, I definitely think is a step forward for us and tennis in our country. And I know the plan for the future is to incorporate and host a lot more of these events. So hopefully that'll materialize.